So there's the 15 and 30s, and then we also looked at trying to get maybe a more uniform cover of that rye. So planting a full drill pass of rye, and then coming back and planting rye and soybeans on 30 inches. And then the final treatment is if you want to do the planter instead of a drill for those soybeans. So planting a full drill pass of rye, and then coming back and planting soybeans on 30 inches. So essentially, we were just trying to see, what would be the best way to implement this Plan B. But as you can see, we've got just a couple weeds here. So we did try to run the weed zapper, but I think the timing, we waited probably a little too long to run that weed zapper. So you can see some of the velvet leaf is a little curled on the top. Most of it just didn't even notice.
I think you can see the singe from the weed the weed zapper. You're welcome to walk out in here. But this is just a really woody stem, and for the weed zapper to be most effective, there needs to be a lot of water to allow that electricity to be able to run through it, and this is just not a weed where it's going to work. But you can see where it hit there, and you can see the burn mark.
So what's the recommended timing for the weed zapper? Or the height, or what are they basing it on?
I think we just don't have enough research to really understand what weeds are most effective, what's the timing, what can you expect.
So when was this done in terms of month or date or?
So we did it later than we would like. We were trying to get some data collection in, was part of the problem. So we planted this in late May, and then we ran the weed zapper in July.
It was end of July.
End of July. But ideally, I think if this wasn't for research and we could have run the weed zapper whenever we wanted, we would have done it much earlier.
We could have probably gone a couple
But
weeks
you have
earlier,
to wait
but
for the weeds to get over the canopy.
exactly,
Yep. But the weeds were well over the canopy.
So is this
August 2nd.
August 2nd, okay.
That's great. So this is the damage we're talking about.
Yep. So he's pointing out on this one, you can see the damage where the weed zapper came, but it didn't kill it. So the treatment key is on the handouts I gave, which I left my handout. But there's the different 4 colored flags. I know the first one is the beans on 15 inch. And then if someone's got a handout, the other colored flags, I left mine.
Hey, Jessica?
Yep.
Matt has a really great comment. So this weed zapper technology, it's old technology that's kind of new again. We got the weed zapper that was used here was on contract, and I wonder too, just like we don't necessarily know the timing of the weeds, if maybe some of the equipment wasn't optimized. And Matt had some observations after seeing our corn not touched. So could you share what you found?
It takes a little time to see it. I don't know if you're going to see it on this one, but we found that there's when you go on the setup screen, it wants to know how many horsepower your tractor is, and we kind of first couple passes weren't really impressed with we didn't really know what we're supposed to be looking at actually, but it didn't really feel or seem like there was much going on. You go out and look at the plant, and it didn't seem like there was much burning. So then when you're in the setup screen, it asks you how many horsepower your tractor is, and well, obviously we had 180 horse on it, so we hit the 180, and we went, well, then we found out, well, we went up 10 more horse and 10 more, so we said we had a bigger tractor than we did. We got the generator working the tractor a little harder, so if we were at 180 horse, technically we put in that we had 230 horse, and the tractor was actually working on the PTO side pretty, not overly hard, but hard, we were working the tractor, we were only going 4 to 5 miles an hour, so driving wise you're not using a lot of power. And then we noticed a lot more burning on the plants, and even in them fields you could tell that it killed the volunteer corn. As time goes on, you go out there, it's dead. So we're learning on it too. It's a neighbor farmer of mine. I helped him set it up and been out in the field playing with it, and it's a great option to have when this stuff happens, because we got weeds like crazy up by us too, and to pencil it out, how do you spend 60-65 grand on a weed zapper? Well, the way he kind of figured out is he's got robots coming in this fall, and if the power it might, so it fits for his operation. It might not fit for everybody's operation, but you can crank it up, but the more horsepower, the better. And then how wide was the one that you used?
I wasn't out here to see it.
30 foot.
40 foot. Okay. So we're only using like a 12 to 15 foot. So, and that might be part of, a little narrower. You're getting more juice per plant.
I was disappointed, and unfortunately, I wasn't out here to see it, but it just doesn't, like you're saying, it just doesn't look like there was, these may not be these may be harder weeds to kill, but I've heard so many good things about the weed zapper that we still saw this many weeds in the field. But maybe it was a juice thing.
We did a field that was about 80% water hemp and maybe 10 or 20% velvet leaf, and we got near 100% kill on the water hemp and 0% kill on the velvet leaf.
So the velvet
The
leaf.
velvet leaf is the problem.
Yeah.
How about the volunteer corps?
We didn't have any volunteers.
Okay.
Kind of, he just said this, is the weed zapper work more effectively on plants that tend to store more water? Because it sounds like you said the velvet leaf is woodier.
Yeah. So it's going to work. I think we need to learn, what weed species are most effective. How does that relate to stage of weed zapping? How does that relate to what juice you're putting through the machine? I've heard great things about giant ragweed. That it works really good with giant ragweed.
It does not work very well on foxtail. Now my experience is limited, but I don't think there's enough stem of that foxtail above for it to get a good current.
I've heard that too. So foxtail is one that's a little. We should do like a chart of like highly effective weed zapped weeds, moderate, poor.
And since foxtail's one of the worst problems at all, that's kind of disappointing. But I just don't think it's getting it. It's hitting the head and it's hitting a little bit.
Yeah, there's just still because it's not a stem, is not able to get that current down. Yeah. Go ahead.